Here we are on yet another Monday, and it's Monday blues because you can see me in my test kit. Speaking of tests, it's not been so pleasant for the neighbours. I'm talking about Pakistan, and as you can tell by the thumbnail, it's a humiliation in Rawalpindi. We'll get to the bottom of it, and it's a post-mortem, honestly, with a couple of Pakistan dudes who are absolutely waiting to have their bit in the show. Anyway, I'm energetic at the start of the week, as always. My name's Avnish Hegde, and of course, in the right corner, we have Nikhil Popa looking dapper in that new, I don't know, schoolboy haircut. And then less good to see you, Nix. And Akshay Kumarswamy, who takes a sip of water because he can't wait to talk to you about a lot of things, including the KPL, which he's been doing some fab work on, and plenty more. Women's CPL comes to mind. England versus Sri Lanka, which is a cracking test, comes to mind. West Indies versus South Africa, the T20s. If you want cricket, we got it. It's a one-stop destination. Please hit like and subscribe straight away. What an introduction that is. I need a sip of water straight away after looking at Akshay. But Nix, I'll come to you, my friend. I mean, the headlines, from the cricketing world, everything is almost like it's a Pakistani tremor with what's going on there in that first test.
A proper shocker, if you ask me. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Even at the end of the penultimate day, where you felt, they've lost an early wicket, but as you say, kar lega, but nahi hua. And that was the most shocking part. But it's good that it's come at the right possible time for Bangladesh in terms of there is so much going on for them off the field. This just gives them, their fans, a lot of, they've waited a lot. They've been in positions where they haven't made it count. And this was a 10-wicket win. First ever 10-wicket loss at home for Pakistan. Dude, that's one way to make history. So well done to Bangladesh, and what a way for Shakib to just lay his mark.
Honest to God, Shakib has been fined though for that little absolute comedy of errors, if I'd like to put it that way, with of course a little Rizzy at the other end. But we'll tell you some startling stats. Nick just spoke about one. There's another one. The Pakistan didn't play a spinner in a home test since 1995. I don't even know if Akshay Kumarswamy was born then, but lots of talking points in terms of Bangladesh securing the historic win. There is, of course, this to get into, which is the crux of it. Pakistan struggle at home in the red ball scheme of things. And not to forget, just generally, can they win a test match? Can they buy that result somewhere? Because Shan Masood, in hindsight, said they would like 50, 100 runs more. He didn't get that. We'll talk about that as well with the Pakistan fans on the show. So get yourself into it. Akshay, though, your first thoughts about what's going on in Rawalpindi, because ultimately, was it just the declaration which bemused you? Was it overconfidence? Or do you think, hold on, Bangladesh actually played really well here?
Yeah, to be honest, credit where it's due, of course. Bangladesh definitely played out of their skins there, to put it very simply. And, in hindsight, yeah, you would want to say, ki boss, kar kya rahe the? Why did you declare so early? Clearly, it was a flat track and whatnot. But to be honest, if I were in Shan Masood's place, I would have also ventured, towards probably declaring and trying to sort of get that win in as early as possible. No one would have dreamt, Bangladesh would be able to come up with such a massive first inning score. And then on top of that, the way they sort of, I don't want to say collapsed, but the way they batted in the second innings, it left a lot of room to desire. So it is a bit unfortunate. Hopefully a wake-up call that nudges them in the right direction. But all in all, yeah, I just want to hear what the fans, the journalists there have to talk about, which is why I'm sort of planning on just staying a bit mum here and waiting to listen to what they have to say about this result.
Yeah, man, 9 tests, honest to God, with that kind of team. And I actually get sad as a cricket fan, and hence the rants will come out in due course. But before we get them on, always pay attention to our viewers. And Gaurav Tripathi saying, hey, boys, excited for this one. Good on you, Gaurav. Abbas Kunde, hello to you. Santosh Shurpa saying, watch this show while traveling different city in a bus. Amazing energy you always give us, Santosh. And Mumbai Indians, well done to you to
Yeah,
get
of
on
course.
with the bandwagon. And I'll tell you what, a place
Good on
spoiled sport, because I'm a Chennai Super King fan here, pun intended, which I got outside Chepauk to just keep me, peaceful about it. So no branding or whatever. But look, lots of fun and games in the show, but couple of absolute shocking graphics, if you want to call it that way, for Pakistan viewers. So watch carefully, and then we'll get the guest on in literally 2 minutes. Victory drought, it says. Boy, it has been that. Literally, can they make it count in their 10th test in this regard? Come that second test, only time will tell. But it is absolutely appalling if you're a Pakistan cricket fan right now. And it gets worse because, of course, lots going to be talking about the declaration and whether they were just complacent. And what we want to get about is basically this, because they actually compared some of the worst we've ever seen in the era. You're talking about the Bangladesh of old, the Zimbabwe's of course, two different eras, and then Pakistan find themselves in that absolutely infamous list, if I may put it that way. We'll get on to, of course, Babar and Bangladesh and all the other talking points. But look, let's, of course, give these guys some warm welcomes, because guys, got to get hot, absolutely hot. First of which is Behram Qazi. Good to see you, my friend. He looks like Fawad Alam in a Pakistan test jersey. But honest to God, great to get interactive with you. You're better known as a Deaf Banger, as you can see, and he does a lot of work on YouTube for the grassroots cricket. So go check them out. But look, let me not be nice straight away. You guys just lost to Bangladesh at home. Have some shame.
Yeah, I mean, every time Pakistan, slide to a new low, you think this is it. It cannot get darker than this. And obviously, that's what you assume, that it'll only get better from here. And then they slump even further. So I've actually termed this as Rawalpindi Ragnarok. But at the same time, I would also like to give credit to Bangladesh. Look, Pakistan had a plan. I appreciated the intent in the sense that they thought out of the box. They were going left field and they rolled the dice. In the sense that they wanted a green top. They made that known. And then they, opted to field a 4-pronged pace attack for only the second time in the last 28 years. Now, that was plan A. There was no contingency plan. If you have been following my work, by the way, Grassroots Cricket and I are done. I'm currently working with Pro Sports and Good Areas Live with Jared Kimber. But anyway, so even if you look at my previews and everything, I said that looks can be deceiving. That looks like a green top, sure. But these sort of surfaces in this sort of weather have every tendency to flatten out. And that's exactly what happened. And I mean, you can't predict the weather, neither can you predict the toss. So Pakistan rolled the dice hard. It backfired big time with respect to the declaration. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, he declared too early and that's why Pakistan lost. I don't agree with that analysis. I think that is lazy analysis, if anything. Because at that point in the game, had Shan Masood not declared, people would have said that, oh, he's not declared because they want Rizwan to get a double century and personal milestones and all that bull crap. And then also people would have said, and this would have been an international headline, by the way, that Pakistan are playing defensive cricket. They're not playing result-oriented cricket and they're just going to bat 2 days. And this way, you don't keep fans entertained. So I like the fact that he declared Shan Masood going in for, or at least having the ambition to get 20 Bangladesh wickets and force a result. Now, that result came in the opposite direction, and every single Pakistan player was complaining in the press box, or not press box, but in the press conferences throughout the test match. It didn't play as they expected to. Yes, but I do appreciate that they tried something, because Pakistan were winless in Test cricket at home since early 2021 when they swept South Africa, on Pakistan soil. And since then, 3 Test matches with Australia, 2 draws and a defeat. First whitewash ever at home in a Test series versus England against Stokes' Bazballers. And then you drew 2 Test matches versus New Zealand, which honestly was a good result for Pakistan because they were about to lose them. After that, now you've also lost to Bangladesh. So 9 winless tests, which is the worst streak at home for Pakistan since 1969 to 75, which was 11 tests winless. So that's where we're at right now, staring at, a potential run of 10 winless test matches. Bangladesh will have their tails up. They might even play for a draw, right? Because a series win in Pakistan is priceless. And just to add to what you guys were saying earlier, the timing of this win for Bangladesh cricket, really, it takes away, that's the arc over here. That's the narrative. I think we should be focusing on that more because it's a country going through political unrest. They've gone through a bit of a revolution. And, mere 21 days ago, the government was overthrown. There have been floods. There's been a student uprising. And this was a very welcome result for them to kind of unite as a nation. And this might even be the dawn of a new era. They've played 66 test matches away from home, lost 55. This was their 7th win ever. 565 that they scored was their highest score versus Pakistan in their first win versus Pakistan and their third highest score ever. So we need to focus on these things a lot and give Bangladesh cricket credit where it's due. And what I love to see was that the Rawalpindi crowd also really like chanted for Bangladesh. They cheered them on. Now that's a double-edged sword. Kyunki, a sporting crowd is always fun and the gesture is great, but then you don't have those fortress fields. There is no intimidation factor that you expect at home on home turf. So there's so many layers to this. There's so much to unpack. We probably don't even have enough time, but I'll let you guys take it away. Ask away. What do you want to know?
It's just
absolutely love that.
थोड़ा पानी पी लीजिए थोड़ा थक गए
नहीं नहीं बहुत आदत हो गई है यार. I do this for a living. I record like 5 to 6 pods a week. वो तो हमारे दोस्त है गौरव नंदन त्रिपाठी. I cannot say no to that guy. So that's why I'm here.
Good to hear that, but really well spoken in terms of that piece, especially with regards to the sentimental away win for Bangladesh and what it's done for them. But let's not just take away that particular embarrassment from Pakistan's perspective, which I get you've come from a group stance, and hence food for thought. I got Peshawari Paneer just for the Man United. So
nice.
just
with respect to the embarrassment, it is not new. Like I said, it's been a while. It's been close to 2 years now, ever since that final in Australia, the T20 World Cup 2022. It's been all downhill. That reserve day from hell, actually, in the Asia Cup, it's been ridiculously downhill since then. They haven't put a foot right. If you look at just the current administrator or chairman, Mohsin Naqvi's tenure, they had the great army bonding camp first, of course, which we were told after every interview or during every press conference that the bonding has been great. नजर तो आ नहीं रही bonding जब अच्छी होती है तो बोलना नहीं पड़ता उसके बारे में. उसके बाद, of course, the New Zealand series at home, the T20Is against New Zealand's Z team. They drew that 2-2. They lost in Ireland in Gary Kirsten's first game as head coach. And then they won the series 2-1, but they still lost in Ireland, a T20I. Then they lost 2 games in England. Then they got knocked out in the first round in the T20 World Cup. Never made it to the Caribbean, lost to the USA and India in games that they had very good chances of winning. And it really, India wala main phir samajh sakta hu, New York was a minefield. And you're facing Jasprit Bumrah, who is, in my opinion, unarguably the best all-format cricketer in contemporary cricket. So that I can still excuse, but USA is not something that is excusable. And then you've gone on and lost to Bangladesh on home soil for the very first time in your history. 23 years and 13 test matches. But whilst we have to give credit to Bangladesh, they outbatted Pakistan, outfielded Pakistan, outbowled Pakistan. If you look at their new ball spells, they were better than Pakistan seamers. It took Shaheen Shah Afridi a third new ball to strike. 27.5 overs, he was wicketless, right? So you expect Pakistan seamers to be more penetrative, even if the conditions are suitable for batting, which they were. And, sure, they declared, they tried to be attacking, they tried to force a result. But then you have to look at the fact that Bangladesh were very compact. They played within themselves. They made sure they bat long. They made Pakistan bowl 167.3 overs, which is 1,005 deliveries. 705 of those deliveries were bowled by seamers, which is the most they've bowled, or the second most they've bowled in the last 20 years, right? And this was only the second time that they were fielding, four pacers in a test match at home in the last 28 years.
But Behram, why did they do that? I mean, essentially, I understand workload management. Surely you're thinking you'll have a spinner there, not Saim Ayub and not Salman. We played a lot around with his name, so I literally didn't want to cock it up in air. But pretty much, Salman, literally can't play him.
I mean, if they think that Salman Ali Agha is their frontline spinner, then, that is really baffling, right? I would have to pick a bone with Dizzy and Shan, even though I met Shan, right? I had a long conversation with him after the press conference as well back at Serena, because Mohammad Assam from ESPN Cricket4 and I went to meet Chandika Hathurasinghe, who, by the way, also mentioned that they felt that Pakistan had put all of their eggs in that basket of green top, play 4 seamers and bowl Bangladesh out twice, and they kind of took them for granted. I think there's some merit in that argument. But Shan told me that, the weather deceived them, right? And there was a lot of rain, a lot of overcast conditions in the build-up to the test match. Even the first day, a lot of it was lost due to a wet outfield, right? Half of it was lost due to a wet outfield. So, they planned something. Execution didn't happen. They had no plan B. And I would be fine with 4 seamers on an all-pace attack on a green top. It's only that I never trusted the PCB and everyone involved to curate a green top, particularly in this kind of weather where the sun bakes the pitch instantly. And over the course of 4 days, it gets very, very difficult. I even had discussions with the curator.
But if they made a rank turner, surely Bangladesh would have come into the game more. So was that their thinking of just kind of making it a Pindi pitch historically?
Yeah, historically, Pindi surfaces they've actually favored fast bowling. It's just the recent past that we see that it's become a road, a highway, autobahn, tarmac, call it what you will. Choose your fighter, right? They'll probably all struggle versus the Rawalpindi surface of recent times. I feel that they thought that they could pull this off. But again, if I had that reservation, did they not have that? How can you confidently say that you can produce a green top in Rawalpindi in this weather? The pitch curator, the head curator, the new one, Tony Hemming, I had a long chat with him. He mentioned how there was an insect infestation problem, fungus and stuff, and the grass, well, 90% of the leaf is water, and it's, blazingly hot or blistering hot. It's a very hot summer, this, and I'm even sweating right now sitting over here because I can't turn on the AC because that would be a disturbance. So he said that, and also the fact that, if you have this kind of weather, even if it's Melbourne or Adelaide, it will be a flat track. Now, he also said that if you have an express paper seamer, you come into the game, because we saw that the bounce was very consistent throughout. That was one very strong feature of the surface. Pakistan, the problem is, and Shan Masood acknowledged this prior to the test match, is that they do not have a template to win let alone play test cricket at home, right? They don't have a formula, and he wanted to figure out a new one. They have 6 more test matches or 5 more test matches at home currently. Actually, it is 6, I believe. Yeah, 1 against Bangladesh, 3 versus England, 2 versus the West Indies, till the end of Jan. They're out of the running pretty much for the World Test Championship final. Not that they were in it in the first place, because I feel like India and Australia have too much quality in this particular format. If anything, South Africa might, kind of compete on that level because they're still good in the rankings. So if Pakistan can figure out that template, I don't know if they're one step closer, if they've taken 2 steps back, but that is of utmost importance, because you've gone 9 tests winless at home in the last 3 years. That is absolutely unacceptable. And Pakistan is a country with a very strong cricketing heritage, and it is a cricket mad nation. You guys can probably, relate to that because you guys are from India. So it means a lot to the people over here. And unfortunately, we also, both of our countries have a very trigger happy sort of fan base. So any small, minute thing goes wrong, people start attacking. They get personal. They forget that this is just a sport. And ultimately, these guys are human beings. It is very, very natural to feel disappointed and even disenfranchised with Pakistan cricket with the results of late. But ultimately, look, this is what you got. You have to continue to back the team and captain. And after these 8 test matches that they have in these 4 months, then you can go on and think of making changes. Like, does Babar stay? Does Shan stay? Because these guys have worrisome form.
Correct. I mean, more than that, it's just the larger can of worms which get open, right, with Pakistan cricket, because it comes down to what are these kind of training camps for if you can't get the results? Everyone kind of have a joke about it. If you went Pakistan's way, then you'd be like, you know what, they're setting the template, they're doing something different. We'll just get your thoughts in more depth, Behram, but I have to, of course, pay heed to some of the comments, and of course, Nick have some as well, and we'll get Urbaz Dar, who's a Pakistan fan who we met during the World Cup. I think he's going to be joining us right now. In fact, he's already on. So quickly then. Abbas Kundi saying Pakistan cricketers have belly. Stop fat shamings, lad. SS98 did Dhawan underachieving ODIs. We'll talk about that and much more, because we all have our favorite Dhawan innings and moments in his game. So that's after this Pakistan chat. And there's
also, hell no, just on that, he did not underachieve. His legacy is big runs, important runs in ICC tournaments for India. I think he's undervalued, if anything.
Okay, fair enough. Quick one from Behram there. And speaking of Behram, there's some questions coming his way from Abraham Abhishek, which we'll also give him just before he heads off. Greg K, good to see you. And good to see lots of other guys, the regular Cool Cat sports fan, Santosh Udappa. Plenty of questions. We also have time for you all in the 12th man segment. Right. Let's add a 5th member to this panel, and I'm thinking of a fan voice from Urbaz Dar, who joins us right now from London. Good to see you, Urbaz, and hope all's well since the World Cup, man. First and foremost, how are you? Obviously not in the best of moods after yesterday.
Yeah, clearly not. Hi everybody, and hi Behram. Nice to meet you finally.
Yeah,
I think Behram and I go way back. Well, his sister and I go way back. So
I think we have spoken to each other on WhatsApp or something.
We have spoken several times. It's a really small world. But yeah, nice to meet you guys again. It's been a year now, right, since the World Cup. So a lot has changed in the world, but Pakistan cricket remains to be remains the same, keeping us disappointed as ever.
Yeah, I mean, you were just telling me on Instagram as well how you still have a little bit more in the tank, quote unquote.
Well, it's depleting really, really quickly, because as a fan, I'm not any sort of analyst or by any stretch of the imagination, right? But I was here. I went to all the matches when they were here in England. So I went to the 3 matches. One was actually 2 were rained off, but the ones when the Sophia Garden was rained off. So that was a disappointment. And then the World Cup was a disappointment. And now, we had a bit of a hope that it'll be an easy test series against Bangladesh. But again, Pakistan continues to disappoint.
Rough start for
absolutely.
Jason Gillespie, right? First, Gary Kirsten lost to Ireland, lost to England,
Exactly.
first round exit in the T20
Yeah.
World Cup. Now
Yeah.
Gillespie's come in red ball coach and lost his first test. I wouldn't entirely blame them. Those guys just got here. Even the curator wouldn't, levy any blame on him. Pakistan cricket has a lot going wrong in terms of like administration as well, and there is no stability. It's very, very volatile. And someone has a job one day, the next day there's a new coaching panel or administrator or captain.
That's exactly what you're saying, right? The crux of the problem really is the stability, and there've been so many changes at the board level, which pretty much has a detrimental effect of anything that's going on, right? And even with Mohsin Naqvi, the credentials aren't there. I mean, he's brought in a number of people over the past 6 to however long he's been here, trying to figure out how to fix Pakistan cricket, right? And that reeks of the fact that he himself doesn't know what to do. So he's trying to get people in. I think I remember after the World Cup, he invited, I think 40 or 50 people, and he can't make the decisions by committee, right? And then he got Waqar Yunus on, and then he's been relieved of his duties and going to some different role. So it shows that there's a lack of direction, right?
He epitomizes, and all the current administration people epitomize cronyism, and that is what it is.
I work in management consulting, right? As my career. And when we go into organizations and try to make them perform better and be more efficient, the first thing, or do any sort of a change, the very first thing you do is you set up a vision, right? You set a vision, you say, okay, fine, where do I want to see this company? Let's just take that as an example, right? So the PCB as a operating company, right? Where do you want to see PCB to be in the next 5 years, right? So you set up a vision, and according to that vision, then you apply a strategy. You say, okay, fine, if we want to be here in this is the type of cricket that we play, these are the kind of values that we need to have, this is the kind of staff that we need. That then dictates the strategy that you implement to execute that vision. We don't have that, right? So the fact that we don't have a vision to then follow, we don't have a strategy, we don't have the people, the process. We do a McKinsey 7S model, right? What's the shared vision? What's the structure? What's the system that you can employ? What's the staff that you can employ? Just take it as a bare bones in terms of let's take the emotion out of this and see how to run PCB well as business. Because they don't have that, everything underneath, administrative wise, for example, what Viram is saying, doesn't really follow suit. So and then obviously at the top things change, and then the whole house of cards falls down again, and then you start to build up again. So that's what we've been saying.
But despite that, Urbaz bhai, despite that, it's not like the players don't take any accountability in this performance. Of course they do. Babar Azam hasn't scored a 50-plus score in 7 test matches now, and we don't know if it's a regression or a slump. Jared Kimber thinks that he might be a cluster batter, so he'll have these really, really big slumps, and then he will go on run scoring sprees, as we've seen in the middle. But up until he goes on another spree, do we really know that's the case? It could be a regression, it could be a slump, we don't know right now. But I feel like Babar might have missed that opportunity to be considered in the same ilk of batters as the Fab Four, and that is traumatic for Pakistani fans because they were convinced that he does belong to that level. There is still time. He's not 30 just yet. He can right these wrongs, but it's been a very, very torrid run with the bat for him ever since that Asia Cup, really, in which, I like to call it the Jashia Cup because of all the, scheduling changes.
Look, Behran, I love the tongue in cheek. What you were essentially suggesting
even
is
in the one days, for
essentially,
not
right?
just tests in 1 day. Across T20, he hasn't really pulled.
Yeah, I think we might be having some connection issues with Urbaz.
Sorry, Urbaz, I was echoing your thoughts in terms of just how it's always been about pressing the reset button for Pakistan in terms of chairmen, selectors, coaches. You look at some great names who've coached other teams. Guy Kirsten comes to mind. Even Mickey Arthur was really, really good wherever he's gone. But Pakistan kind of extracted the best out of them. 2017 Champions Trophy being the proof of the pudding. So I'm just now asking you all now, what is the light at the end of the tunnel, especially with the WTC boys? Behram, I'll come to you first. They have 2 away tests against South Africa, right? And pretty much, again, a tough series against England at home. They have, again, 2 tests against West Indies after that. Point being, can they believe? But it's ridiculous right now how the current state of affairs is. So how much do you take it with a pinch of salt, and how much of hope there is in this
I
current
can I
cycle?
can feel quite I'm feeling quite comfortable to go on record and say that there is no hope
Go
for the
on.
World Test Championship final. And if anything, by the end of this run of 8 test matches that remain, if Pakistan somehow figure out a template on how to play or compete in home tests and somehow then go on to win them, that will be a victory on its own because they're in a real bad slump right now. And yeah, it's weird to say this even, but South Africa are a team in transition. So they might even have a better chance to win a test match over there than versus England at home because the Baz bowlers will come and see these surfaces and take them, to the cleaners, Pakistan's pace attack. So something needs to change real quick. I mean, I'm not going to say that there is no hope at all, but structurally, Pakistan cricket is in complete shambles. It never has been on top of things, really. If you look at India, that's one thing they got right. You can talk about the autocratic nature of the BCCI as well and how it is also at this point politically influenced, but they do put Indian cricket at the forefront and they make sure they get all things right over there. Pakistan, not so much. It's very direct over here. The patron in chief is the prime minister. So every time there is a new leader, there is a new administration from scratch. Everyone has their own ideas and you kind of press the reset button by default. And I don't see a lot of consistency coming over there in terms of like administrative stability and coaching teams and even, the players themselves. So I feel like Pakistan is such a talent-rich nation. I would like to think that every now and then they would produce a talent-rich squad, which we've seen in the past, and there will be flashes of brilliance, and they could probably even sneak away with a few ICC titles here and there because tournament cricket is different. But being a consistent team day in, day out, producing results, much like what India have done. Like India were the opposite. They were producing results day in, day out, and were a fantastic bilateral team. Only now, in the last 11 years, do they have a trophy to show for it. So they've conquered that demon. But I don't see that reality for Pakistan. I feel like there will be trophies here and there, hopefully, fingers crossed. I do fear at times that they might, run themselves into irrelevancy because Pakistan's resilience has been amazing over the years. Even in cricket exile, they remained irrelevant and even made it to number 1 in the test rankings. But right now, cricket is in a weird place. We don't know where it's heading. The future could be franchise, right? How will Pakistan cope with that? How will Pakistan players, survive in the ecosystem where obviously they do not play the IPL and they do not get to play India either? Maybe monetarily they will survive, but can the quality remain the same? And can they ever become a consistent team? These are major, major question marks in my eyes. And yeah, for Pakistan fans, all I can say is that, it sucks, of course, and you have every right to be disappointed, disenfranchised with the team. But ultimately, you make do with what you've got. These are the best players in Pakistan. It's unfortunate as it is. And you can hope that there will be light at the end of the tunnel at some point. There will be, once again, there will be a rise because sport is cyclical, and good times are followed by bad times and then good times again. And Pakistan does have the pedigree and the population to kind of come back into the conversation. Right now, for the past 2 years, they have been a subpar team, and there are no two ways about that.
Okay, fair. Before I let Urbaz in on this, then Akshay and Nikhil have been quite quiet, and that's understandably so because everyone's kind of been chomping at the bit to get in on it. Akshay, what is your 2 pence on what these guys have said in reflection? And then we'll come to Nick's and then go back to Urbaz. What do you guys feel, right? It has to, again, top down. Do they get a director of cricket? It's almost reflective of RCB, right? In turbulent times. Now they've got the whole setup. So, Akshay, do you expect them to do the same thing? Because they had Ramiz Raja, they had Misbah, they had all these guys. But what's happening?
Yeah, it's definitely not about the names. I mean, it goes without saying because being a good cricketer and being a good administrator aren't the same things. Which is something we've seen in India before. Thankfully, like Bairam mentioned, cricket has always been at the forefront, irrespective of what's happened around it. Which is why Indian cricket that way hasn't suffered that badly. Also, this is probably the longest time I've stayed mute in our podcast. So kudos to both of you there. Congratulations. I have a couple of questions before I answer them myself or try even sort of taking a shot at it. One is, of course, about Babar Azam, because, a lot of Pakistanis have faith in him or, in terms of him being their best batter ever, in terms of him probably knocking the doors off the Fab Four, of being one of those top batters across international cricket. Hasn't been the case, in the last 12 months. And we've heard a lot of these, speculations or rumors, call it what you may, he's probably not been so receptive to feedback, to criticism, whatever you want to call it. How do you look at that, Bairam? Because again, we keep hearing this every time on social media, of course. So how much of truth is there to those conversations?
I mean, obviously, when you are a cricketer of Babar or, let's for instance say Kohli in India's case, there's that stature where the entire country worships you almost. I'm sure there is a bit of ego that comes into play. So, I mean, we're all human beings at the end of the day. I can understand that. But what concerns me is that there are two possibilities over here. Obviously, I think all five of us would agree that Babar is a quality bat, right? And we've seen him dominate world cricket as well. So, is this a mental thing? Because he's gone through a lot personally, and the administration hasn't helped. There's been a lot of politics. So is it a mental thing or is it a technical thing? Because in the last 2 years, he's, edged one to the keeper down the leg side 6 times. So that's quite a sizable number. And you remember during the ODI World Cup, he kept finding short mid wicket. So that was also an issue. And then if you look at his second innings dismissal, by the way, he almost bagged a pair. Shoriful Islam said his dream wicket is Babar Azam, got him out for a duck in the first innings and nearly, almost gave Babar Azam a pair or something in the second one. But despite that, Babar did not cash in. And if you look at his dismissal in the second innings as well, if Babar Azam is failing to connect a cover drive and chopping one onto the stumps, then you've got to think that something is up over here and something is definitely wrong. 7 test matches is a good number of test matches and he's gone without a 50 plus total. So Pakistan fans and even world cricket enthusiasts would be hoping that Babar Azam can come out of the slump. This too shall pass, Babar, right? But we don't have any guarantees about that. Can we say for certain that this is not a regression? Not yet. We'll have to see some performance for that. And then hopefully, if Jared is correct, he can go on another one of those sprees and strong clusters of high performance because he's still young. But if you'd ask me, it is a major area of concern, probably as major as Shaheen's form as well. 27.5 wicketless overs. He's striking for the first time with a third new ball, regardless of the surface. This is your premier fast bowler. He's a left arm quick. He has kind of shown the world what he looks like at his best. He hasn't been the same since his return from injury after the T20 World Cup in 2022. These are all major signs of concern for Pakistan. Even Shan Masood, I think he's a fantastic human being, great person to talk to, delightful conversation, someone who has a good cricketing brain. And whilst he hasn't been able to crack it in Pakistan colours, he always comes back into the team on merit, right? After evolving as a batter. He's also averaging 28 with the bat. Babar and Shan combined for 40 runs across 4 innings in the Rawalpindi test. That is unacceptable and the pressure will be, growing for them. But I would still say give them all 8 test matches that you have upcoming. After those 8 test matches, you can assess all the performances and then you can do something drastic. The PCB, I request them to not, follow their own patterns of doing something erratic mid-season, which is very on cue with them because look, this is what you have and you have to kind of play out a cycle and then make big calls. That's all I would say.
Nikhil, you next, because I generally want to think that you have a few pieces of advice to give the PCB at this moment. Generally, even from a longer viewpoint, Nix, they have a great team, okay? As many jokes about Babar and, of course, Rizwan has been exceptional this test and he couldn't do anything more. That pace battery that we keep reiterating and the pace depth that they have. So even if you look at it from a cricket fan from the outside, what are the first 2-3 things which can come to your mind in terms of rectify this to get your results right?
Yeah, I think something we discussed in the previous couple of MLs that when Jason Gillespie came on board with Shan Masood, the one thing and the only thing that I wanted them to have is vision. And it is exactly the words that both Urbaz and Behram have used in terms of what is an identity? What do you want Pakistan cricket to look like? Because, you think of Pakistan and everybody thinks about it very, very differently. People who've seen the 90s, they think of Wasim, they think of Waqar, they think of Inzi and others. You go previous generation, they think of Javed, they think of other options. This current generation, if you say Pakistan cricket, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? And that is what I think both Jason, Shan, and everybody involved in Pakistan cricket should get to. Because, again, I'm no mug or qualified to give them advice on that. But whenever I feel is, whenever a new player comes in, it feels as if they all have different ideas of Pakistan cricket. And they try to impose that because now, as you know, Urbaz pointed out, Waqar Yunis is no more whatever he was in terms of designation, but he's now going to be mentor along with 4 other Pakistani players, and there will be a 5-team or national something cup from 12 September to 29 September. You kind of see these new things, this new format coming up. This doesn't help your structure because nobody knows what to expect. And it is probably reminiscent in how you see Babar bat and how Shaheen bowl.
Yeah.
To me, your country's best reflection is how your best batters and best options go about it on the field. See, sometimes you don't have the best times.
And Nikhil, sorry, I'm butting in over here. I'm sorry, I'm butting in over to label your point. if we have a vision and we see that the team is progressing towards that, and in between that, if we've got losses, absolutely fine, acceptable, because you can see that you're working towards a end result, right? And I'll take, for example, I'm going to come completely left angle, right? I'm coming in from Arsenal. I'm a big Gunner, right? So I go to the Arsenal matches, and I've seen what Arteta has done in the past, like 4 or 5 years now, right? So we were in the we were fighting relegation, to be honest, a while ago, right? As an Arsenal fan, and this guy came in and said, like, these are my non-negotiables. This is the vision that we want. This is where I see Arsenal being in the next 4 to 5 years. And in between, he had a really bad streak. He had losses after losses. I think he lost about 10 to 15 different games, and he was still between 5th and 8th in the league. But not a single person went against, or the fans were against them. Reason being, we could see in the matches, we can see what he's trying to do. He didn't have the right tools, he didn't have the right players, and he got the right players in, right coach set up to then start playing the football he wanted. So that analogy, is an example of where, as fans, we can accept that if we can see progress, we can accept defeats, because we know we're gonna say we're gonna, for example, baseball again. That's another one, right? For example, when about 6 years ago, when the ECB started completely changing the way that we operate over here. Again, you could see there were quite a few losses, but you could see exactly the way they wanted to play, and then you get the right players to play the system. The problem over here is, as Nicholas is also saying, is we don't have that. So each defeat becomes a bigger issue because
And it's a rudderless ship, you could say, because it doesn't have direction.
You can't see the
and that
result. So
that is a major issue.
that's,
Sorry, Urbaz bhai, I think your voice is getting cut off. You're having
It's
some
just
connection issues over there.
summarizing the problem that Pakistan had.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
You cannot make
Wi-Fi
Yeah.
is as literally turbulent as the board right now. But boys, really
Yeah,
quickly,
to-
last thoughts.
To Nikhil's point, though, chopping and changing never helps at this rate, and you've got to be a bit more stable, and you have to give things continuity, and you have to Urbaz's point, a long-term vision is very necessary. Like, Waqar Younis was hired for the Rob Key role. I didn't think it was a perfect appointment, but now he's also gone. So whoever they bring in that quote-unquote managing director role, they call it something else, like chairman to the or advisor to the chairman for all cricketing affairs. That person needs to be someone with long-term vision. Maybe Bazid Khan, Misbah ul Haq, Rashid Latif. Those are the sort of guys that come to my mind. And Pakistan do need that role, 100%. But it's all a matter of, like, they can have these plans, left field, out of the box plans, but it's a matter of execution. And Pakistan did underperform, have been underperforming, because even though this generation of players has some really quality cricketers, Mohammad Rizwan scored 222 runs in this test match. Sure, he should have found more strike in the third innings. He dropped a catch as well. But that's still like 222 runs in which there was an unbeaten 171 and then 51. And he has been scoring bulk runs for Pakistan. Like in the last 24 test matches, he's averaging close to 50. In Sena, 9 tests in Sena, he has an average of 45.82. And no one in the history of test cricket, averages more than Rizwan's 44.82, I think, after 31 test matches, than Gilly, Andy Flower, and AB de Villiers. That's elite company. He is a very, he's a man for a crisis for Pakistan. He's a tough conditions batter, and in easy conditions, he showed you what he can do. Saud Shakil is another. 20 innings, or after 20 innings, no other Pakistan batter had scored more runs in the history of Test cricket. He scored 3 tons, including a double and 6 50s, and he has like over 1,100 runs in 11 Test matches. So he's also one to look towards the future, and this was his first Test as vice captain. Those two guys are the backbone of Pakistan's batting right now and have been performing. But the others need to step up as well, and the plans need to be better. And if plan A doesn't work, you need to go to plan B, C, D, E, and not just put all of your eggs in one basket. But then again, someone said that there is no losing, it's only learning. I hope that they can take all of this in and treat it as a wake-up call and push hard for victory in the second test match, because Bangladesh will be completely fine with the draw, right? They might even play for a draw, and I don't even blame them.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about how they will approach it. Urbaz, your 2 pence on that second test, and would you expect to bring in a spinner? Because there's a couple of questions which I want to get better on before he goes away. One from Abraham and one from Gaurav. But Urbaz, really quickly, your predictions for that second test, and what changes do you expect them to do instantly? Forget long term.
I think obviously they didn't read the pitch well this time around, right? So that was kind of completely misunderstood. So I think it definitely has to be more balanced in terms of the bowling department. there's no other way, right? Pakistan has to win that match.
Yeah.
So they'll go all guns blazing. And back to Baron's point, I think they'll play for a draw. Bangladesh will play for a draw.
And they need to play abroad
and
because the overrate issue
Yeah.
is there, and you don't want to run your fast bowlers
exactly.
to the ground, right? Shaheen,
Exactly.
Naseem,
Exactly.
all the other two
They-
guys,
they
Khurram
talk about
Shahzad
the
and
workload.
Muhammad
Yep.
Ali.
Yep,
But
yep,
speaking
they've got
of
the workload.
there's a question from the chat because it is a good one because he's shown his worth in his short little career. And in Urbaz and Behram, you can give me your thoughts about how this spinner could actually be the next Bushy or the next Acclaim, dare I say?
I fear that he might be the next Mendes because if you've noticed Abrar, he is not a legs. He's not a wrist spinner, but he does turn it in the same direction as a leg spinner because he kind of uses his fingers to tweak the ball. So he's a reverse Mendes, if you will. Now, the mystery element is there, even if there is nuanced turn, because there was no prodigious turn on day 5 either, in which Bangladesh's spinners took 7 wickets. Mehdi 4, Shakib 3. Shakib, with everything that's going on in his life, still managed 3 wickets, which is phenomenal, right? He's got like an accomplice to murder charge on him, and the president is changing, and the coach will probably not stick around either. And he still brought his A game to the table on that last day. But Pakistan do not have like rich deposits of spin bowling resources. There is a dearth. If not Abrar, then who? Faisal Akram is very young right now, and it will take some time for him to kind of find his feet. So yeah, I mean, they've got to play him just for like giving the fast bowlers more rest, and he's got a phenomenal record in Pindi as well in first-class cricket, like 40 or 40-plus wickets in 5 first-class games. This is a kid who, till the novelty of his mystery spin remains, will get you wickets. But I fear that one day there might be like a day where, like Mendes, people work him out and then the novelty is lost. But we don't know that yet. Maybe he evolves as a cricketer. You've got to play him. And Pakistan, again, just need to be attacking. If they lose, they lose. Because them pushing for a result will bring Bangladesh into the game as well. But they're kind of cornered up against a wall. They can't really do anything over here. And they need to kind of, inspire their fans once again and make them believe in themselves. Because I mean, I've seen a lot of people who are completely dejected and do not know where to go because obviously cricket is part of Pakistan's identity. And it is one big uniting factor in this country where not a lot is going right? Like,
And
it
next
is a
up-
country in turmoil.
Next up is England, right?
Yeah,
In
and
October.
I mean,
So,
it's
you're
the
not gonna-
second
you
iteration
have-
of Bazball. So let's
Yeah.
see.
And even off the field with that, they still haven't got a broadcaster at least for that series, which is
That's
another chat altogether. Casing, meanwhile, says, what is worse, losing to the USA or Bangladesh in a home test? Rahul Singh saying Bangladesh got their revenge in that 2014 Asia Cup loss at 10 years. And Casing also saying he's the next Dom Bess, so behave, Casing. I know you're Liverpool one. So good on you for, of course, joining us. And Akash jokingly saying Avnish is a cap player now because he's observed the cap team on this podcast. You guys know, you know. And Rahul Singh also saying Nikhil bhai, kya baat hai? Gilly se compare direct vare. Right. Final one. I think he meant that to compare to Behram, not Nikhil, Rahul. That's why Nikhil is just like, what?
Compare क्या यार मैं तुम्हें numbers बता रहा हूँ. If you can't stomach them, then don't. Right?
Okay, fair enough. So last thing that I want to give both of you all before you guys depart this particular podcast is one from Gaurav Nandan. Both of you all have said that they want to see Pakistan play positive cricket. Can you define that in a journal's terms and a fan's terms in terms of what you want to see? Is it going to be bab ball or sham ball? I don't know what you're going to call
Shan
it.
ball.
Shan
We had
ball.
suck ball in between when Saklan was coached, right? Kudrat ka nizam, aka suck ball.
100%. So,
Look,
jokes apart, right, guys? With the personnel that you have in your test team, and let's talk test more than the white ball scheme of things. What is the philosophy, the blueprint of cricket that you guys want to see? Behram and then Urbaz.
I'm fine with the way they're pacing their innings. If you've noticed, they've gone at 4 and over. I feel like that part of it is fine. I had no problems with the declaration either. At that point, it was the attacking move, and I feel like Shahan kind of not ensured a result, but he if he hadn't declared, people would have slandered him for not ensuring a result. So I think that bit was fine. With respect to a template, we're all clueless. Look at the surfaces. Look the way they play out. How are you supposed to win games at home without running your bowlers to the ground? And spin-friendly tracks aren't even like a big possibility over here in this kind of weather either. And Pakistan don't have the resources. So making a spin-friendly track would bring Bangladesh into the game even more. So
I agree.
I
But
believe that maybe...
Sorry. Historically, and I hate to interject you, but Gaurav saying they didn't even have a template in the past. Even if you actually cast your mind back to the good old Wasim Bakar days.
Reverse swing.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
template was reverse swing.
So right now, can't the current crop of pacers do the same thing?
Yeah, reverse swing का वो दौर भी जा चुका है. It's not the same era anymore. People have gotten better. I feel like Pakistan need to learn the wobble seam better, and maybe some good experience of wobble seam would do them well. Because ever since the pace playing pandemic, you've seen how averages have dropped, right? It's impacted the entire cricketing sphere. So that's something that maybe they could do. Also, they need to kind of figure out what sort of bowling attack works best for Pakistan and who will be the frontline spinner if there will be any, and how are they supposed to kind of manufacture wickets as well at times, because sometimes the surfaces are really, really flat. Now, winter months will bring pacers into play more, hopefully. We've seen that in South Africa series 3 years back, and that was a phenomenal series in terms of surfaces. That should be the template. Go and look at videotapes of that series and try to replicate that, because Pakistan should utilize their pace bowlers. So even if it's for the first 2 days, if that is possible in winter months, then you don't schedule test matches in August. Don't make these scheduling howlers, because this is one. And you're kind of throwing Tony Hemming into the deep end, and even Shan and Jason Gillespie, because how are you supposed to produce results over here? Abhi to collapse ho gaya. You lost all 10 wickets in 50 overs on the last day, and that's how or a bit of the fourth day as well, and that's how Bangladesh forced a result over here. Or Ben Stokes dangled the carrot by asking Pakistan to chase 350, and that's how he forced a result over here. That shouldn't be the case. Historically, Pakistan have had flat decks, but the reverse swing bowlers were Wasim, Waqar, Shoaib, all of those guys, right? I mean, that is as good as it gets. That's the cream of the crop. Even like globally, those guys were world beaters. So they've got to kind of assist their seamers a bit, one way or another, and they've got 6 test matches at home to figure this out. That should be the prerogative. I don't even care about the results as long as they figure that out at the end of this run of tests. And then, of course, unfortunate, yaar, they don't get to play much test cricket. Like England have already played 14, Australia have played 12 in this cycle, Pakistan have played 6, New Zealand and South Africa have played 6. South Africa didn't even field their first string team versus New Zealand because the SA20 is what is, helping them survive. Otherwise, they're bankrupt. It's in a funny place, cricket. And I feel like the disparity might kill the sport in the coming years. But hopefully, there is some light at the end of this tunnel. Let's see. Jay Shah is almost ICC chair. We'll know soon enough.
I love the fact that he brought his name up twice. And that can only make him a little talky approach. But look, essentially, Urbaz, let me just quickly ask you then. When you look at this team and the pattern and the blueprint and so on and so forth, can they actually, more importantly, with the new Duke balls as well, which is another fascinating subplot?
Yeah, I think I'll probably piggyback on what Bahram is saying, because I think that the next set of sets really is for them to figure out what they need to do. What tends to happen is, without the structure, they rely on the talent themselves or the strengths of the team members. Unfortunately, the team members aren't, you putting names like Waqar, Wasim, Inzamam, so on and so forth. They're nowhere near that level of talent that they had, right? So what's happening is you're relying on people like Babar, like Mohammad Rizwan, like Saad Shakil, and if they don't have a bad patch, then you're in big trouble, because your system really isn't there. And you're relying on those people. So I think they really very, very quickly need to figure out which system they need to play, and then employ the people that need to follow that system, rather than relying on the people first, who, everybody's a human, right? Everybody's going to have bad patches. Not everybody's going to be the same. And with all the in politics, on and so forth. So it's always a bad mix of doing that first, going through players first. So I'll end that with, they'll need to figure out what they need to do, because to be honest, we don't have a clue.
Yeah, but I hope there is consistency in the 8 test matches ahead. Don't make any drastic changes. Give these guys a run. Let's see what happens.
No, I agree.
After that, we're all here.
What's at stake, right? Because, as you said, not in the Test Championship anyway, right? So let's use that as a betting ground to find out what we need to do.
Absolutely.
And then give them the time to experiment, to fail fast. And as long as we can see progress and they're learning from the mistakes and they're not repeating them, and there's something that, they're learning from it and improving, all Pakistani fans can accept those defeats. What we can't accept
also, Abbas Kunde in the comments has suggested a Duke's ball. They're doing that in the domestic circuit.
Yeah, that's what I asked as well.
Yeah, so maybe in international cricket they could do the same. That's a fantastic point, actually. I should have mentioned it in other podcasts as well. So maybe that's a way forward. And also, Rahul Singh is saying that you have to, score 550 to 600 runs. So that's also fair. I feel like, that kind of checks out with respect to subcontinent cricket. We saw it in the India-England series as well. And by the way, those were fantastic pitches. If Pakistan can somehow even replicate those surfaces that India had versus England, I think that would be great. And on a closing note, someone asked whether it's worse losing to the USA or Bangladesh in a home test. 100% Bangladesh in a home test. T20s mein to koi bhi jeet sakta hai on their day. Test cricket mein the better team wins, and Bangladesh outplayed Pakistan in all three departments, which is why they won. So I would completely, I think everyone would agree that losing to Bangladesh in a home test is worse.
That's insane. That's both absolutely shocking. With it, it's a tough one to swallow for Pakistan this year. But 2025, hopefully the Champions Trophy works out for them. Until then, God bless Behram Qazi and Urbaz Dal joining us right now and giving us
Cheers.
all that we wanted to know about Pakistan cricket and what's going on. Boys, we'll see you soon and hopefully more future podcasts with you all. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from all of us. Right
Cheers,
here,
guys.
right now.
Thank you.
Not going to be talking about Pakistan anymore because that's done and dusted. But of course, the team who beat them, quick word on them, dude, because Bangladesh as well, Akshay. I'm just thinking to myself, dude, they don't have that many overseas wins. And this is one of those rare gems. Jamaica, St. George's Park, Harare, of course. Sorry, St. George's Park is Port Elizabeth, I'm guessing. Harare, Colombo, Harare, Mount Maunganui, which was amazing as well, and the Rawalpindi. So point being, talk about Bangladesh and that sentimental aspect which Behram mentioned. The fact that it's come at such a good time gives them great, great joy.
Exactly. I mean, we've always spoken about how, sport goes beyond what's played on the field. We spoke about this, at the end of the Women's Asia Cup and how, that win would sort of act as a catalyst for something greater. Similarly, I feel a victory like this plays a very big role in sort of unifying the country because it's not exactly the greatest of times right now in the nation. We keep hearing horror stories from there. We keep hearing about natural calamities apart from, the political turmoil and whatnot. Wins like these provide some solace to the average person out there, which is why I'm happy that this win definitely came for them because it's come at probably the best possible time in terms of sort of giving them some respite with all that's going on. In terms of course, specific performances, I'll let Nikhil Bhai take that and not sort of, dwell into that. But all in all, as a performance and as a win, this is definitely going to be one of their best wins ever, given the circumstances that it came under.
Yeah, by no means Pakistan B-side or anything like that. I don't want to hear it because all the haters in the chat, or Bangladesh cricket at least, would probably say that. But kudos to them, given the fact that even off-field, they lost the World Cup. I mean, which was a huge thing. Don't know what happened there.
What?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I can't hear. Okay, what's all right? We're back on. I don't know what happened there.
What happened there? Honestly, we were talking about crazy things and crazy things happen. But look, Nikhil, Bangladesh on the field were incredible. Can they now dare to dream in the second test? Will they play for a draw? Do you think they can actually go for it? What impressed you the most in terms of cricketing performances?
I think it just was the patience. And, sometimes, see, it's a very tricky slope to be on that, oh, I want to play this way. England is playing this way. I want to play this way. This is how I want to play. But you have to accept it may not be the thing that you are best suited at. The best case, the two tests that happened this week, the last week, were great examples. Sri Lanka competed far more because they played the brand of cricket that's natural to them. And I think that's what Bangladesh did best. Maybe Shan Masood brought them into the game with that declaration that, okay, I'm not going for, that 556 run mark. It brought Bangladesh into the game, but then Bangladesh were very smart that we are not going to chase batting at 4 runs per over. We don't care about the entertainment. We want to do what works best for our side. And I think just that knowledge enough, I think, helped them. And very, very happy for Mushfiqur Rahim because, see, you have to realize Bangladesh have had a lot of time where only these couple of guys have overperformed. And you felt like, dude, only if they got some support. This time they did. And what Rahim did was he ensured that he's getting a very good century, which is getting them that 117 run lead. Dude, any subcontinental test match, half of them, more than half of them are decided in the first innings. To me, Bangladesh were in prime position to conjure anything miraculous only after being in. They could not have pushed Pakistan to bat at an aggressive rate. Result lane ke liye you bat aggressive. It doesn't work out that way. So I feel every small bit worked out well. And again, of course, it is hindsight. Had they not collapsed, then it could have been a dull draw and we would have been speaking something else. But they hung on to their chances. And that's the best that you can do. Mehdi Hasan, Viraj, Shakibul Hasan, they take 3 first on a pitch where the opposition does not want to even play one spinner. So I think it was it was a good reflection of how you can read the surface wrong, but just stay in the game. Sometimes we've discussed this for many games that you want to pull that fish that, oh, I'll close the game out earlier, but you need to stay in the game because you look at the shots that Asad Saud Shakil played. You look at the shot that Abdullah Shafiq played. The situation didn't warrant those shots. There was no need for them. But it's the game that you are playing by just holding it. I am here. You want to do something, you do it. And I think it is very, very good that they ended up with a 10-wicket win because it's very morale boosting. They haven't had a great time with the bat as well. And all of us were worried about how will they bat against this Stoikov, Naseem, Shaheen, and everybody at home. But they showed how they can do it. So I think it was every box thing. I don't think they will probably look at, oh, let's play for a draw. I think they'll just take it as it comes. If the situation arises, remember they are in the game more because Pakistan have to win. That will automatically bring Bangladesh into the game.
Yeah, that's an important point to note because Pakistan have to go for the win for that WTC light at the end of the tunnel. Bangladesh, amazing win, and it's statistical in many ways, and this is reflective of how it is. Go check this article out on our desktop, and it is loading. Jokes if you know. But literally, guys, hats off to Bangladesh. And what it does, essentially, Akshay and Nikhil, the WTC points look something like this. Even though it's still early days, like Behram mentioned, that Pakistan have to play a whole huge of tests, 6, 7 more, and still other movers and shakers in that list. But excuse me. The sense being that Bangladesh now, if they get another win, who knows? But this is how it looks at the end of the day. Right, lots of chat done and dusted, nearly an hour on it, but we have to motor along to so many things that we want to talk about in the best of the rest. And of course, Akshay's quiz. So if you guys are liking the content, please like this video. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. We've gone past 93,000 recently. We're on the way to 100K. So make that happen. Spread the word. If you're listening on Spotify as well, do, of course, like this there too. There's lots more in the best of the rest, which is so exciting to talk about, including England versus India. We want to give you a little bit of root Sachin thing, talk about Jamie Smith and much more. So all of that, starting with Shikhar Dhawan, of course, in the best of the Right. Earlier this week, we all, of course, heard the news about Shikhar Dhawan retiring from the game that we love the most. And it's sad in some quarters, but he's gone on to now play for the LLC whenever that happens. So good on Shiki. We'll still see Gabbar in action. But guys, it makes me think, what is your best moment of Shikhar Dhawan? It's not like, sadly he's passed or anything like that. But from the cricketing world, he's gone away. What do you think of Shiki? Even if we ask ourselves 10 years down the line, what is that Dhawan moment? Akshay, close your eyes and tell me. Is the 187 standing bright? Is it the Champions Trophy? Is it the Panga celebration? What is it?
Has to be the 187 for me. 10th standard board exams are going on then. So a lot of sort of, my memories around that is, chucking studies and focusing on the game. I still remember, finally someone playing test cricket aggressively. I was also in that phase where I felt test cricket was too boring. Yaar, khelo yaar, thoda aur tez khelo. And finally comes the southpaw who sort of takes the attack to the bowlers. Has to be one of my, favorite memories, so to say, of Shikhar Dhawan. Naito, I remember, I do have vague memories of him for Deccan Chargers and Mumbai Indians, in the IPL. But of course, proper first solid memory was that, then the Champions Trophy, almost chronologically. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I know these are your sort of very mainstream options, but unfortunately, it is what it is.
Next, we so often judge a player in terms of, what has he achieved? What has he won? And he's been part of some glorious squads, especially the Champions Trophy comes to mind. IPL, he's also won it. So he's tasted success there. 2015, the World Cup, generally 2019 World Cup, he was Mr. ICC for a reason. So again, is that where your memories stem from? Or is it Shikhar Dhawan the person? Or is it a particular knock that he's played? Which is most striking in your head, sir?
So two moments. second one first because it was a welcome change where he spoke very wholeheartedly about Shubman Gill replacing him. We still live in a world where people are fighting for credits. People are fighting that he took my spot, he preferred that guy. Here is this guy in the time of social media and everything, very content. He's playing well, so he's playing as simple, beautiful, and special as it can get. Sometimes these virtues are what you want. Proper team man wanted to do what the best that he can for the team, and it just speaks so much about the self assurance that I'm happy with what I have. I think the great line that he said is, "At the end of my career, my goal was to be happy." It is such a good and sweet thing that every one of us can have in our lives, hopefully. And the number one memory, of course, is the 187. It was my first ever cricket project that I've ever worked on. My very first day, I'm hearing commentary, I'm giving feedback, whatever that is. Can't disclose more details, but Australia hai, ghar pe, there is an opener who's batting like how Australia used to. Those thumping drives, dude. I have proper visualization that where I was sitting, how I was watching that match, and I could remember Mike Labs interrupting their feedback. Dude, why is this guy who's supposed to give us only feedback? Why am I hearing his voice? Kya shot hai yaar? Kya mast chauka hamara isko aur maar. I mean, that is, see, Australia is always special. When you have somebody who can do that bat at that rate, fastest century by an Indian on debut, highest score for a debutant. So many things that he just ticked off, and he came across as a smiling one. And of course, there were moments later in the career where he would drop a catch and smile, and I would like, dude, यार तू हंस क्यों रहा है? The game तो गया, fantasy के points भी गए मेरे, हंस क्यों रहा है तू? But you understand that is how you want to play the sport. It's eventually a sport. Take it as a sport. And of course, as Akshay also pointed out, to me, the IPL memory is very peculiar about him in that Mumbai Indians night suit wala jersey. This is the Delhi guy who's helped them win Ranji Trophy has now come to play for Mumbai. Let's see how he goes. But Champions Trophy 2017, 2019, I still feel 2019 India lost because Dhawan was injured. The entire story could have panned out completely differently. Yes, 2023 is there. It is far more fresh. But 2019, he was batting like a dream. That was still a century. But maybe it wasn't supposed to be, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, his last game essentially for India was December 2022, where he played that game against Bangladesh. Most remembered for Ishan Kishan's 210s. He opened with Kishan that day, and Dhawan got trapped to Mehdi for 3. But essentially, a glittering career in terms of what he's achieved in terms of runs, 1700s and ODIs. But if you factor in 790s, literally 20 odd tons in the 50-year format. So he made that his, and it was good to see in terms of some of the idiosyncrasies with the bat as well, how he used to kind of be that elegant left-hander. There was a great appreciation from Syed Anwar on X to hail what he's done, and Dhawan was quick to take note of that, saying thank you bro to Syed Anwar, which is hilarious. Dhawan injury had indirect impact in the India jersey, but again, I mean, what he achieved across the formats was good to see. His last test was that 2018 tour, which comes to mind, and the writing was always on the wall. So look, whatever it's kind of happened, he's made this decision, and we wish him well in his second innings. Right.
One thing just hit me. One thing. My first ever memory of Shikhar Dhawan was watching an under-19 match in the stadium at the Abu Dhabi International Stadium. So that was my first ever memory. Just one correction. Suddenly hit me, but yeah.
Yeah, off the field. I mean, sometimes when I think on the field with the devil's lens on, how he mocked Watson, I remember that. And then Dhoni asked him not to do it. Yeah. There was another field.
Shikhar Dhawan bowling. Any of you remember 2015 India South Africa series, and then him being banned almost right after the game.
Exactly. And there was another time I saw him at the Gardenia, which he did something hilarious. He was eating like pasta or something like that, and he was just doing something ludicrous with the pepper crushing in a very Punjabi way. So look, he's a very, very jovial guy. Give it to them off field. If you guys know him, you know him, great. But good on Shiki D, and hopefully we can get some time with him in cricket.com in the future. If it is, then mark my words. But look, so much to talk about. And the next is, of course, the league that you guys love the most. It's not the Premier League. It's the Indian Premier League, which is, of course, IPL rumours. And like the thumbnail, beg your pardon, suggests that Sky to KKR could be a possibility. Akshay was saying no chance it's going to happen. If you can just want to add 2 players here, we can do that. Last week we spoke about Manish Pandey and his U-turn to RCB. That's not going to happen. There are rumors about Yuvraj taking over Ricky Ponting's position at Delhi Capitals, even though he's not coach. Will he get his father in? Imagine Yograj and Yuvraj there to take the Delhi Capitals upwards and onwards. Will there be a change in captaincy now that IPL, of course, has seen Dhawan go away? He has the most fours in the competition, but will he get a good leader? We'll ask all of that to Nikhil and Akshay right now. Get involved. IPL chat boys. What have you heard? What have you read? And will Sky actually go to KKR? It is not such a bad thought, Akshay, with, of course, Shreyas Iyer going the other way, because both the boys are going to go back to their hometowns and wait. Sky, of course, KKR product and all of that.
Again, like, the thing is, all these conversations, like, or rather rumors or speculations, whatever you want to call them, they're being based on the fact that the trade window will be open. I just don't understand why exactly. See, there being any truth to this argument would be based on the fact that the trade window will be open, and it isn't. There isn't a trade window open right now. So until and unless someone's heard, someone's been a part of the conversations where the IPL governing committee has confirmed it to the franchisees ki boss, एक trading window होगा auction से पहले जहाँ पे आप लोग players trade कर सकते हो. I don't see why are these sort of rumors even being fell out, and importantly, why are people also taking to them? Like, मतलब क्यों? Like, कैसे नहीं होगा यार? Like, Manish Pandey to RCB is still possible. It's still in the realm of possibilities क्योंकि वो auction में आएगा और auction में खरीदेंगे. Whether I like it or not is secondary. Sky to KKR, I here to Mumbai. Yeah.
My hunch is because after the Hardik Pandya trade happened, right? Hardik literally got where he wanted to go to. He made that deal happen. And there's greater powers in play, bro. It's a chessboard where RCB came like a secret Santa saying, yeah, we're going to take Cameron Green there.
And we're not complaining, to be honest. We got the better end of the bargain in that entire
I agree, but don't you think with taking Hardik's deal there, Sky, if he wants to go back to KKR and set a legacy of what they want to do, of course, then you're just thinking, yeah, the franchisees might be looking at this way. Before the mega auction, they'll release Sky and then KKR will bid high, so whatever. Or they'll just do it off deal. Like Hardik Pandya's, bro, it happened off season. So that again goes against the book now.
Okay, just to get very technical here, legally, right now, none of the players are contracted by any of the teams. Because to be clear, every mega auction, there's a 3-year contract that's signed between players. So everyone's contracts have ended. So Hardik Pandya is not a part of Mumbai Indians, if I'm being very technical and if I'm sort of getting into the legalities of the matter, which means Mumbai Indians cannot trade Surya Kumar Yadav because Surya Kumar Yadav technically is not a part of Mumbai Indians. Contract hi nahi hai. Right now, this is what is called a transitionary phase. Like you can't do anything until and unless they sort of go the retrospective way where they say, you know what, we're coming up with trade windows and whatnot. Then sure, yeah, that is possible. But until then, there's no point. I mean, trades ke baare mein discuss karna to sure we can all discuss what our dream trades would be. We can all indulge in wishful thinking. I'm pretty sure Nikhil bhai will want Pant in CSK, but I don't see how that is going to happen.
Nikhil, let me just ask you this, right? I know it's ridiculous, but Rinku Singh has said jokingly, I'd like to play for RCB if KKR don't retain me, right? And Rinku now being in the T20 scheme of things for India and cementing his place day by day, do you think someone like him could actually speak to KKR, get this deal done, also have, of course, a synergy with RCB saying, I'm ready to play for you guys, let's make this happen. Now it's player power. So can't Rinku force that move, hypothetically?
So you're basically saying, can Rinku Singh do what Ravindra Jadeja did in 20?
Exactly.
Take it up.
So with that, what will happen is he'll get banned. But that is what happened with Jadeja, and the problem here is
get banned. Pandya did the same thing as Jadeja.
That is when, because they were there in a contract. It was not after a cycle or before a cycle was starting. Hardik Pandya trade happened when he was in contract with the franchise, and then there was a trade window that was there, and that's where he was just swapped around with Cam Green and the money being handed out to Mumbai. So that's why it happened. And what you are saying can happen only if this was after a season of the auction. That okay, one mega auction is done, now he's part of a franchise and he wants to go to other franchise, then they can do. So unless we hear this for sure that yes, this will be established, then people go back to their roots in terms of yes, you're contacted here, and then you can go on and have a chat, because I'm sure those chats would have already happened had that trade window been done, and we would have even heard about this from the owner meet that would have happened, that had happened, that the owners wanted trades to happen. But I don't think, or I didn't see anything which suggested that owners wanted trades, because of course they would not want, the players will want it. So maybe that is a dynamic to look into in the future. At this point of time, I don't see trades happening. If the plug is pulled, then I'm sure we'll see at least, I don't know, outrageous trades happening. But at this point of time, I have even read that Delhi and Hyderabad, if I'm not wrong, have reserved money for Rohit Sharma. Great, of course, you should do it if he's coming to the auction. But will he come? Nobody knows.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about it. When was it when we discussed the whole IPL BCCI meeting? Because at the end of August, which is pretty much in 3-4 days, we will understand that particular mandate, new set of rules, what we're going to understand in terms of mega auction. There will be a point about the trade window there, whether it's going to be a more larger period, say 4 or 5 months of the year, where you can get a lot of deals in. The players are going from club to club, franchise to franchise in this case. I know Akshay is doing some sort of back-end research to ferment his point. Bro, talk to me about all these players wanting to go wherever they want to go. But now the bigger question is, in fact, love to bring up the Monday Night Live question of the day, which is the coaches, right? Because now you clearly see there are some voids in the teams this year's IPL. Ponting going away, Gambhir going away. So which IPL team will get a new coach in 2025? Let us know in the comments right away, because that's the MNL question. And of course on X. Akshay, similar question to you. Can coaches choose where they want to go? I.e. Dravid wants to go to KKR, or Yuvraj wants to go to Delhi, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Gambhir did last year. So coaches definitely sort of, they are well within their rights if they are poached by another team. It's all about, of course, for some coaches, it might be financial considerations. For some others, it might be about, whether they're being given full responsibility, full sort of freedom in terms of what they can do with the team. So it's sort of a mixed bag that way. There's a lot of nuance that goes into sort of making such a decision. So with Dravid as well, given a choice, given the kind of person he's always been, I would imagine he'd be more comfortable going back to RR, because he already shares a rapport with the management. He understands how the team functions. He understands how the management functions, importantly. So it'll be a lot more easier for him to slip into that role. Again, it's a big if, because Kumar Sangakkara himself has done sort of nothing too wrong with the RR setup. So until and unless he moves out, I don't see Dravid coming in. Same is the case with Dravid at DC, because he's been a part of the setup. And in all fairness, Dravid's DC stint is a lot more underrated, was a lot more sort of successful than we give it credit for. Because of course we look at 2016, 2017, Delhi Daredevils stared down the barrel in terms of their position at the points table. I'm not going to deny that, of course. But the way they groomed the side, some of their tactics, I still remember as a youngster. I mean, of course, I didn't understand the tactical side of it till much later. But the kind of youngsters they had, Karun Iyer, Sanju Samson, Rishabh Pant, Shreyas Iyer, everyone together in one setup. Oh my goodness, it was great to watch, and it was all thanks to Rahul Dravid there. So yeah, lots to look forward to on that front as well.
Yeah, GT as well. Gujarat Titans, that is, have had a massive overall, so they could get some new faces there to join Solanki, Vikram Solanki, that is, who's of course stayed intact in his position. So who knows? Your guess is as good as ours, but we wanted, of course, just debate a little bit about player trades if there's windows. But again, in a couple of days, we'll find out, and we can tell you all that in the next week, MNL. Still so much to get through to, guys, because of course we still have to talk about England, Sri Lanka, and West Indies, South Africa, which we will do right now. And I'll start with Nick's here, because England, Sri Lanka, I don't know where you were watching that test match, but it was a brilliant watch, especially some of the fireworks from Jamie Smith early on to take England to a respectable total in their first innings. Like, went on to get 100, and it's now soon becoming the buzz of the town. Jamie Smith, a dashing batter, number 7. We've heard that before in the cricket world. So well done on him. Nikhil, what did you make of him first? We'll go piece by piece, because I want to talk about Kamindu Mendes. I want to talk about whether there is hope in this 3-match test series still left, and Ollie Pope and all of the other things. But let's start with Jamie Smith. And that 111, is he reminiscent of someone? Do you like him? Do you love him?
No, of course, you always enjoy keepers doing well. I do not know where that bias has crept in, but it is what it is. So I'll happily get into it more because I mean, you've seen him play in the Blast or in the 100 before, and you felt like ये कुछ तो अलग है. So kudos on England for picking that call. And an even bigger call was to not give Johnny Bairstow another home series because I think that was probably the bigger call there. And right through the summer, Jamie Smith has been impressive. There was a good piece about him with Sky were doing about his numbers on back foot and how he was happy to play wherever he wanted to because he's able to pick the length so early. And of course, it's very early into his career. He's only playing at home as of now. A lot of good road to travel. But so far, whatever you've seen of him, it's very, very good. If you haven't checked out Jamie Smith entirely, there was a small chase that Birmingham Phoenix were doing in the 100. Check out just how he started. Just that is enough for you to feel something is there here in terms of batting versus good pace and plays a short ball well, can play spin okay. We haven't seen much of it. So all in all, as good as you can get in terms of a ready replacement. So very happy for Jamie Smith. But for me, it was Ratna Naike who was that spark that I was looking for from Sri Lanka because on debut, to see England being England at home, it is very pleasing. They had them on the mat, let's roll Sri Lanka over. But a debutant was like, bro, abhi main khada hai. And he went on to score a good 70, along with another off-spinning legend that I love in DDS. So that I think was very, very good from Sri Lanka. Of course, Prabhat Jayasuriya hopefully will come into the Lord Test. I don't know. But looking forward to another good competitive tight test because I think the first test was good enough. Competed more than West Indies. You can ask for more, but I think Hasida Fernando did all he could to try and conjure a different result, but wasn't the case to be.
Yeah, Fernando apparently gave vibes of Mohammad Asif, according to his bowling coach, Akib Javed. And it just makes you think about whether Sri Lanka stand a chance in the capital because they play, I think, Lords and then the Oval, or vice versa. I'm not sure. But basically, 2 more tests, 2 more cracks at the cherry for the interim coach, Sanjay Surya. Can he get the best out of Kamindu Mendes again? Because, again, sensational knock. We'll just finish up on him. But before that, Joey Root has just been fabulous yet again. And just inevitable question, can he surpass Sachin? Many people thinking he can in terms of 50-plus scores. He's what? 23 away, essentially. He's actually just about a couple of 50s away from overtaking Sachin for 50s in tests. Only Chandrapal and Sachin has more. So, again, fabulous numbers from Joe Root. And why not? Because he's playing all these cricket teams, essentially, who are not the best, but still, you have to score runs and you can only beat what's in front of you. Akshay, Nikhil, Kamindu Mendes Appreciation Club for the next 1.5 minutes then. What a breath of fresh air. Just watching cricket from an underdog perspective. Holy shit, dude. Like, to go against England, fine, no Anderson, no Broad, but still Wood, who's bloody, I don't know, broken Chandimal's thumb, made him retire out, come back. And he's just playing all these shots. Typical lefty Sri Lankan cat amongst the pigeon knocks. Akshay?
Yeah, definitely. Given the lack of experience, that makes the knock as that much more special because it's not like he knows the surface, he knows the conditions here. So irrespective of how strong or weak the opposition is or the bowling attack is, we're talking about England here. If they are more than happy to take all the credit for the success, they also need to own their failures. So kudos to Kamindu Mendes, of course. But if I'm not wrong, if I'm getting my stats right, he's only the 3rd Asian to score 3 centuries in his first 4 tests, only behind Mohammad Azharuddin and Sunil Gavaskar. So that's not a bad list to be a part of, to say the least. So all in all, very happy. And like Avnish mentioned, a breath of fresh air for sure. Because for me, for the longest time, when it came to Sri Lankan middle order, it was always some sort of a DDS resurrection or an Angelo Matthews resurrection, sort of helping them, go past some threshold and reaching some semblance of a decent total. To see someone being added to that mix, to see someone else come in and throw their hat in the ring, that's what makes it even more special. And hopefully, this in general is the start of something special for Sri Lanka because, again, sorry, I'm bringing women's cricket once again. Let's hope men's cricket can be, this is sort of, something, this is the start of something special because they do have the talent. They are also another cricket mad nation. They have the talent. Now it's all about getting everyone together, galvanizing and creating creating a unit out of them. We've seen them defeat supposedly the mighty Indians at home. Now we're seeing them give a very tough fight to England at their home. So yeah, onwards and upwards for them.
Yeah, man. Brilliant documentary from Sky Sports as well. Cricket in Colombo, done by NAS. I was watching that the other day when there was a rain interruption. Fantastic insight to just how Sri Lankan cricket works, even though they're not having the toughest of, they are in the toughest of times. Urbaz Kunde saying, for me, England is below average test team now. Root and Brooker consistently for how long they can. With this bowling lineup, they can definitely struggle overseas for sure. We can talk about England in the future podcast, but 100% agree with you there that it's root and brook and then bust for them, without Stokes at least momentarily. Down under, rather Akshay, Nikhil, what can Sri Lanka do to compete better compared to the first test? Any tactics changes that you wish Sri Lanka can incorporate? Which I was going to ask Nix anyway. A quick look ahead to the remaining test, Nix. Would you bring in another pacer, given that it's kind of dryish this time, but it's also cold in England?
Yeah, I think the weather isn't ideal for you to try and have multiple spinners because you already have two options in Prabhat and DDS, who I think is very handy. Coming of course, can bowl long spells if you want to. But I would just want to see more. It's very wishful thinking to have a top order to score. It doesn't happen always. But Lords isn't a venue where you can score a lot any which ways because it's always up, see how it's going, and then you bowl. So I'm just looking forward to more control from the seamers. Ratnanayake has that knack in terms of reputation that he can bowl quick and all. Let's see if he can pull it off after a nervy time with the ball, maybe. Because first as he looked far more assured with the bat to me than with the ball. But now that Asita has come good, Vishwa didn't have a great game. The pace is something that I feel they missed in that test because it was a very slow day. Now, you don't know about the fitness aspect because a lot of the Sri Lankan pacers have been very injury prone. So, how fresh is Asita? Can you get in Lahiru Kumara? If yes, then yes, that he could be the difference that you're looking at Lords. As Abbas also pointed out, important to mention, you can't hear baseball now. You're not hearing baseball now. You're not seeing the scoops and everything. So this is now back to same test cricket. Maybe we'll be sold something else in the second test, but Prabhat Jayasuriya again could be very handy if it's dry. And he eventually did bowl a couple of Jaffas to get through and another dismissal in that sense. So it's this control that I'm looking at because England will struggle. They did struggle in the first stage as well. If you keep themselves to a score that less than 300, you are in the game. So hopefully everybody can conjure up a good score and get them to 300, and then hopefully we can have another thrilling test.
Yeah, that other dismissal was Chris Wokes, actually, who got a pearl. Just a commentary curse from Nasser, and I was watching at the time.
Yes.
Hilarious, absolutely hilarious. But there we go, England, Sri Lanka, and we'd love to see that second test. And like most of you guys as well, keep your comments coming through, keep the likes coming through, guys. Monday's been tough for all of us. We have to bear the brunt of it at times, but we're wishing you well, positive energy and manifestation through the screen. I think Lahiru will play in the place of Vishwa, saying could be a possible change. Only time will tell, but good on the Lankan Lions to at least compete in that first match, even though they lost by 5 wickets. And again, Ollie Pope just pretty much managing his troops well. Not anything spectacular, but England being clinic enough, to get a job done. Right. Speaking of getting the job done, West Indies, South Africa, they were absolutely brilliant in that first game. And in the second game, the host turning it on, giving it a real right go against the World Cup finalists. Akshay, I don't know how much you saw of it. I know you have this new routine of waking up and watching all the highlights before the Monday Night Live. How much did you like of the Nicholas Pooran innings in the first T20? Because I didn't watch a ball in the second T20.
You nicely set me up there. My routine's very clear. It's watching Indian T20 leagues. But yeah, with West Indies, South Africa, though, I have been hearing really good things about, a couple of the newcomers. Nicholas Pooran, unfortunately, did not catch much of it. So I'll let Nikhil Bhai first talk about, the knocks, and then I'll talk about what I heard and what I think could be the case.
Yeah. For me, I think the first game was set up by the bowling only. Of course, Pooran came in and then had a... how do you not love Nicholas Pooran? Dude? The guy is just there wanting to hit big shots. And remember, we talk a lot of people coming back from serious injuries. This guy had a very crazy crash, some years back, almost 9 years now. And the way he's come through in terms of just being a very intimidating presence in the middle. And of course, failed in the second one, but that's okay. He had a great time for Northern Superchargers as well in the 100. So I think pace is what has probably caught the eye more than spin. Slightly surprised by the returns for Guthikesh and Akhil in that aspect, but you had Lizard Williams come in yesterday, and yes, Rasi के बारे में बात definitely करनी चाहिए क्योंकि it's out of my mind that you have Makram at 3, Stubbs at 4. Then why is Rasi batting at 5? There is no room for him. I would rather have somebody like a Vian Mulder in. Patrick Kruger has been able to get you wickets out of absolute nowhere. So then get in Mulder. Further again, I think we have some time with him. So I will not pass the judgment on him. But Makram yesterday really looked good before he got an umpire's call and he had to walk back. So I think now that the series is done that way, maybe we'll see no Rasi in the 30-20, but Pacers have done the job. So far, no special from Chase, but maybe that is for later. So I'll save that.
Yeah, because I was watching that first game and they were 42 for 5 before Stubbs and, of course, Kruger pulled them out of that fire to get them to a reasonable 179 before Pooran had the house on fire, absolutely guarding it. Akshay wanted to say something.
Yeah, the only thing that I did, of course, catch was Patrick Kruger, because I remember Dave's team sort of talking about him online, that this lad can bat and how he sort of had a couple of decent outings at the SA20 as well. So he's a youngster to watch out for, is what Dave's team was talking about. That's why I was trying to remember who the youngster was. I knew he called him Pat, but I was pretty sure Pat wasn't his name. So thank God Nikhil Bhai brought that up. But yeah, Patrick Kruger, definitely someone to watch out for. Batted in number 6, number 7, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, Rasi at number 5, Nikhil Bhai rightly mentioned. I am a big fan of Rasi. If anything, probably the sort of chief of the Rasi Fandadusan fan club. But unfortunately, T20s hasn't really been his format when it comes to international cricket.
And the other guy that you're a fan of is Quena Mafaka, who also, of course, got his game time. Nix, you want to say something about that?
He bowled a great. Do check out the highlights. He bowled a great penalty bat. Top class over. Didn't start well, but that's okay. I mean, that can happen. Didn't quite enjoy bowling to Ravmin Powell, but that second last over, that was chef's kiss. Perfect. Lot of time for him. And again, I just hope South Africa use him well. They've had a lot of pacers come in and go. Just take care of Quena. Just don't lose him to just leagues. So hopefully that is also taken care of.
Yeah, in many ways, the cricketers on display in this series are the future of the game. You talk about even Shamar Joseph, who, of course, we know for the test game, but making his impressions count in this series with some of the bowling that he's done, quite brilliant. Rumari Sheffield's another good game. So look, all of this and much more is available on the cricket.com website and the app. Go check it out in terms of all the statistical highlights, the data digest bits. It's fun to watch and, of course, gain some knowledge aboard. Before we get into the Maharaja Trophy roundup, just want to showcase what is to watch this week, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, because there is a lot of cricket, a lot of international cricket. We spoke of a few already. Those come hit our screens very soon. Wednesday, West Indies, South Africa. There is, of course, England versus Sri Lanka, second test, day 1. I think the South Africa game is maybe today. I might be wrong about that, but just double check that. The rest of the dates, I'm definitely sure that it's fine, but it'll be riveting to see on Friday. Bangladesh, Pakistan go in the second test in that one, let alone the Maharaja Trophy final on Sunday. Right, speaking of the Maharaja Trophy final, we're not there yet, but we've had perhaps the greatest game in the T20 history, so to speak, a triple super over. Akshay Kumar Swami, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not. It was a triple super over, and what made it even more fun was the fact that I was watching it at office with all of our colleagues. We saw the game meandering towards the end. It was 6 needed of 6. We're like, of course, Ubli Tigers are going to scamper through. They hit a 4 of the first ball, 2 of 5. You're like, yeah, done. Ab to khatam hai, boss. Jaldi match khatam karo, because there was England, Sri Lanka, one of the other tests going on. So they're like, let's just change the channels quickly. Somehow, Hubli goofed it up. They went to a super over. That led to a second, and that finally led to his third super over. By the way, the third super over as well, 2 needed of the last ball. Somehow Manwant Kumar mustered all the courage in him, scored a 4. But had that also been a tie, points would have been split. There wouldn't be boundary count, nothing. Had the third over also been a tie, which there was a very high probability of, because 2 was needed of 1, they would have split the points, because Gulbarga Mystics and Mangaluru Dragons were supposed to play in the next game, and they were already in the stadium waiting for the match to begin, except the match wasn't ending. And there was also a brief period where at the end of the first or the second super over, umpires were trying to convince the teams, can you just split the points and move on? Manish Pandey was like, please, next super over, come on. I'm not letting go of any of my points over here. So it was a very interesting turn of events. And it was great to watch it live. So yeah, Chinnaswamy basically a triple super over and a double super over in the span of 8 months. So yeah, I mean that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the double super over. Me and Vikas snuck in at Chinnaswamy to see that India-Afghanistan one go down.
I watched the entire game, by the way, at the stadium.
Brilliant. Yeah, you were there, luckily enough, for the whole 40 overs. We got the last couple of overs, and it was absolutely brilliant. There's plenty of other things catching our eyes in terms of the Maharaja Premier League. And one of them is, of course, Guru Lakshay doing Guru Lakshay things.
So, guys, this is This or That Mysore Warriors edition. Nandi or Chamundi?
Chamundi.
Chamundi.
Chamundi. Chamundi.
Meghna or Hanumantu?
Hanumantu. Hanumantu.
Hanumantu.
Hanumantu.
Yash or Sudeep?
Sudeep.
Both.
Yash.
Sudeep. Mailari or CTR?
I mean, CTR.
So,
Mailari.
Mailari, of course.
ಮೈಸೂರು ಮೈಲಾರಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ CTR ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೈಸೂರು ಮೈಲಾರಿ
CTR.
KGF or Kantara?
KGF.
ಬೋತ್ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಎರಡು ಮೂವಿ ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು 60 ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೆ
KGF.
50-50. Mysore Park or Dharwad Peda?
Dharwad Peda.
Okay.
Mysore Park.
ಮೈಸೂರು ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಸೊ
Mysore or Bangalore?
I would like to say Bangalore. Unfortunately. Bangalore.
Mysore, of course.
ಮೈಸೂರು ಫಾರ್ ದ ಕಾಮ್ನೆಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ಐ ಲಿವ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಸೊ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು
More like that is available on the cricket.com app. Go check that out. Good work to Akshay. Meanwhile, Santosh Urupa has his 2 pence in the KPL or the MT, if you want to call it. Fielding has been let down this tournament. Akshay Bhai, why Maharaja Trophy in this period? Last 2 seasons were held in September, October. Lots of rain interruption. This tournament doesn't get momentum from the start. In fact, there was that one game where I think Vijay Kumar and Vishak absolutely kept slipping, right? And that was unprecedented
Yeah,
as well.
I think he snatched the best actor award from Gulbadin Naik there. Fantastic performance there. I'm pretty sure the umpires weren't amused one bit. Okay, interesting comment. Good on you, Santosh. But in terms of the fielding, I do agree. Fielding and umpiring both have been a massive letdown, especially the latter. Fielding, I'd still say it was, first time under the lights and this and that. But the umpiring, oh my goodness, geez, what's happening? And on top of that, there's no DRS, there's none of that available. It's just been awful. Like, I've lost count of how many times I've seen the likes of Mayank Agarwal, Manish Pandey, Devdutt Padikkal lose it. Like, these are experienced pros we're talking about. They've absolutely lost it at the umpires, and rightly so, because the decisions haven't been good. But all in all, still a lot of new talents coming through the Maharaja Trophy. Lots to look forward to that way, and this is essentially why I love watching these leagues. And for all those who like calling me anti-national, like, oh, bhai, pura Delhi T20 league, I mean DPL, pura Maharaja Trophy, pura UP T20 league, सब कुछ देख के आ रहा है तेरा भाई. पूछो इन दोनों से देखा है क्या? इन दोनों से ज्यादा मैंने देखा है. तो कौन है anti-national असली वाला बताओ.
Bro, I watched some
Yeah, though, this is just 2 months bit. Once this is done, he'll go back to being what he is. So it's okay.
No, but speaking of those other leagues, anything which caught your eye, Nikhil, even from a fantasy lens, Delhi Premier League has some rocking team names, but were there some rocking performances from the likes of Pant, Ishant Sharma, so on and so forth?
No, Pant I didn't quite ठीक है Pant का sailing थोड़ा types, but I enjoyed the keeper bashing. Very good 19 ball 50 if I'm not wrong. Both me and Akshay were talking about it before this. Vansh Bedi is the name, if I'm getting it right again. I keep forgetting his name for some reason, but a good prospect. Again, from fantasy lens, as Akshay pointed out, you have to be very quick to identify what is it reliable in terms of catching and umpiring, because those two things are uncontrollables. And if they are not in control and you see that they are Jai Mata Di, it is best to stay away and just watch it for the sake of it. Because if you lose from 2 from 5 and I have money involved, I am not going to sleep well in that day. So it's better to not rely so much on these leagues. These leagues are good feeder systems. So make notes on people, whether it is Manwant Kumar, whether it is Chetan or somebody new coming up, whether it is Anishwar Gautam. Now I hear the name, I think of Akshay. So he played a great knock today. Bopana had 3 wickets today. Make notes of all of this. See when they next play in maybe in a higher competition, watching them will be handy. So yeah, that was that, and those 3 through 4 overs. I'm telling you, I was traveling and I was like, first super over. ठीक है, अभी हो जाएगा ये. And then I click again after 10 minutes. Second super over. Am I reading the wrong scorecard? Why is it showing second? Is it not refreshing? It is crazy how you think you've seen enough cricket, and cricket is like, look, abhi aur dekhna baki hai. So, well, that's what these T20 leagues are for.
Yeah, and the game keeps giving. And these T20 leagues, as laughable as it is sometimes, and we look at it at fan code, and we, of course, sometimes see it in Star, it is a great way for scouts, the IPL scouts in particular, and maybe Team India scouts as well, Ranji scouts, to do their eye test further, because it just gives you more access. So whether it was the Andhra Premier League, which got over, the TNPL now, it's kind of come to glory with Ashwin, of course, winning it. So onwards and upwards to the league, like Akshay said. Just a final point with Akshay then, because I think he just wanted to touch upon the UP League, and also just give me a little light on what the Indians are doing at the WCPL, the Women's Caribbean Premier League as well, please.
Yeah, sure. So UP T20 League, of course, just started yesterday. We're just done with 2 games. So that way we're still getting into it. But yesterday I sort of caught a glimpse of this leggy Zishan Ansari, who plays for Meerut Mavericks. Bhai Saab, please keep an eye on him. Really love the consistency. Really love the way he looped the ball. Got a couple of wickets as well. So he's definitely someone to watch out for. DPL के बारे में थोड़ा तो बोलूंगा यार, because I've been mind blown. I've been very impressed with the talent show at the DPL. Hands down the best domestic competition I've come across. Miles ahead of the Maharaja Trophy, both in terms of batting, bowling. Almost every team has one pacer at least who can clock 140 clicks. Every team has got aggressive batters galore. There's of course Mayank Rawat. There's Priyansh Arya, who's done himself a massive favor. He's played 5 knocks so far, 5 innings. He scored about 300 runs. His lowest score is 45, and he's done all of this while scoring at a strike rate of 116 each of his individual innings. In each of these innings, solid striker of the ball, left-handed opener. He's 23 years old. Made his debut for Delhi last season. Wasn't the greatest of debuts. I mean, I'm talking about the smart, of course, but he's improved massively. Ankit Kumar is a part of the West Delhi Lions. Team काफी हग रही है, तो उसकी वजह से there's not a lot of spotlight on him. Excellent player यार, मतलब I've been blown. I'm like, भाई ये क्या चल रहा है, ये लोग यहाँ पे क्यों खेल रहे हैं? Why aren't they at the IPL? I've already made like a list of 6-7 names who should be playing the IPL, and I can't. I feel like pulling my hair, eating my words. How on earth did Anuj Rawat play ahead of all of these players? How?
Sorry, Manoj. Have you seen Manoj Mandage play in the Maharaja Trophy? It is unbelievable how he's just come so good, and you feel like, dude, why is this guy not playing? He's part of your squad. I mean, of course, we all have our picks when we are making teams, but very ridiculous. And just on an update, Samir Rizvi has scored over 89 in the 59 balls in this current game. So, well done, Samir.
Yeah, count on a CSK fan to give us that little.
Exactly. And one last bit on Indians in the WCPL, of course. Jemmy has had a slightly sort of blown hot, blown cold season. She's gotten starts, but unfortunately is yet to convert them. Deandra Doughton got them over the line today. Their first win. So finally, they're also off the mark. And Amazon Warriors are also off the mark. But Barbados Royals, of course, Hayley Matthews alone, it's not even Barbados Royals. It's just Hayley Matthews, position number 1. Then there's Guyana Amazon Warriors, and then there's Trinbago Knight Riders. Shikha Pandey has been doing actually very well. She's come up with all-round performances. She's done well with the bat and ball. So that's also pretty good to see, because we've always seen Shikha Pandey, the bowler at the WPL, batting utna unko mila nahi because of the kind of batting depth that the Capitals have. Yahan pe she's actually done well. So that's been very nice to see. Aur bhai, super over hua aaj. You know, the funniest bit, first time in cricket history, super over ke liye toss hua hai. They tossed for the super over. I don't know what was happening. I don't know what was the thought process there. I was just surprised. I was confused. I was like, what's happening? It's a CPL only thing, because it's not there anywhere else. Even when Hubli Bangalore play the super over, just like always, the chasing side bats first, and then vice versa. They just sort of take turns. Wasn't to be the case. Deandra Doughton just tossed the coin, won the toss, opted to bat first. So, yeah.
Maybe that's a quirky CPL, WCPL rules. PL. CPL will start, I think, the 31st of August. So there's plenty of time to get our thoughts tucked into that. Imran Tahir is apparently part of the tournament, which is ridiculous. The 45
Defending champion and I captain of the defending champion. So
yeah, he looks like one of those villains in a Abbas Mustam film. You know what I mean?
Yep. And speaking of villains, of course, P-Dog is also part of it. Or villains इसीलिए बोला क्योंकि वो सब करते हैं इसीलिए, not because he's a villain, because of all the caricatures they do at the Ash and P-Dog wala show. Not that he's a villain, just to be clear.
That's bad. Look, there's already so much we've tucked into, and we've gone way above time, but there's still a little bit left in the MNL. So, of course, quickly give this a like if you're watching on YouTube and tell people about this weekly podcast. No one else does it, but we're here. We just want to finish on this particular talking point, the England versus India schedule and how it's kind of just been reconcerned. If you guys want to know the dates and booking tickets, this is why we put it out. There was also the India tour of England being announced with regards to the test matches, 5 tests there. So we're going to see 5 against Australia and 5 against England in literally within a year's time. So that's going to be brilliant. What else do we have to talk about? Nothing else, pretty much.
Yeah, the women's side. So historic test there as well. India and England will be playing a women's test at Lord's, first time ever. So that's also a historic moment. The women's team will also be touring England around the same time. So June 20th is when the men's play their first test, and June 21st is when the women also play their first game. They're also playing 3 ODIs and 5 T20Is. So all those people in England will have a blast because that's going to be a massive cricketing summer for them.
That is huge, actually. Like, even from an ACB, BCCI perspective, I think they're going to just blow it out of the water. Also, England versus Sri Lanka test will have a rest day, saying Santosh Udupa.
New Zealand versus Sri Lanka, not England, Sri Lanka.
Because
New Zealand, Sri Lanka. President elections.
Actually, September 21st, which is my birthday.
Yeah, 21st is the rest day.
Elections on that day, and hence they're doing that. But yeah, so that is the best of the rest. But boy, don't we have a power pack question in terms of how's that? Right, last week we did have a question, Akshay. Let me just put that up and then you can take it over. And we do have a winner as well. So first and foremost, this was the question and you can take it over.
Yeah, very simple. मतलब पूछा था आपसे यही कि boss, list of players who've played in international leagues. Men's cricket में तो अभी मिलता नहीं. Women's cricket, thankfully, still, the Indian women's team is still allowed to sort of ply their trade in overseas leagues. So there are 12 Indians rather, who've plied their trade in overseas leagues. We had 7 names and blanked out 5 of them. So all we wanted was those 5 missing names. And of course, the answer to that is Shikhar Pandey, Shriyanka Patil, Veda Krishnamurthy, Poonam Yadav and Radha Yadav. Thankfully, I got all the names right. And a lot of you got them right as well. So congratulations on that. Clearly, a lot of you know your women's cricket and clearly a lot of you know how to use Google as well. I'm going to let that pass. But good on you guys. Of course, only one lucky winner gets the voucher. And this time around, that lucky winner, of course, is SS98. So congratulations on winning yourself an Amazon voucher. Just DM us on Twitter and our social media team will do the needful. So that's that from last week's Howzzat. Let's have today's graphic on. There we go. Very simple. You've got a bunch of names there, ranging from Asghar Afghan to Bert Sutcliffe to Mushfiqur Rahim to Vijay Merchant. 12 names. All I want is for you guys to identify what the connect is. I want you guys to connect these 12 names. What connects these people? And of course, it is an exhaustive list. So there's no other name that hasn't been included rather. So there you go. And once again, to be clear, we've just arranged it in alphabetical order, so do not look for any patterns there, just to sort of, appraise you guys on that. So 12 names, I want you guys to connect what, the funda is between these 12 players. There you go. So that is it for this week's Howzzat. And once again, like always, please do not key in your answers in the live stream or in the live chat. Wait for the live stream to end and key in your answers in the main comment section to remain eligible for the Amazon voucher.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think I can maybe guess in terms of some test match connection there, surely with Mushfiqur Rahim having a stalwart test match as well. So I don't know. I'll probably have my guess just before he reveals the answer next week. But do tune in for next week's show. And congratulations, SS98, for winning last week's quiz. Right. You guys have been brilliant in terms of the comments. And we missed so many questions in that heated Pakistan chat earlier on. If you guys missed it, go check it out because we got a journo in Behram Kazi, who's really well spoken, and of course Urbaz Dar, who was fantastic in terms of letting a fan perspective of how he wants Pakistan cricket going forward. Right, but the most important people are you, including Abbas, Santosh, Rahul, so on and so forth, and you guys will feature in the 12th man segment. Right, loving the energy as always from Santosh Urapa. He has a few questions to throw our way. We'll take it right now. Do these IPL team scouts be present at the stadium during the tournament, or do they just use visual from broadcasters? Both ways. It's pretty much like what the English scouts do in terms of the county cricket, because now county actually have a YouTube channel, each county, and they have, of course, an amazing convenience factor to just watch it from the comfort of their couches. But I'm guessing it's better going forward watching them live. Akshay, you want to say something?
Yeah, I can say for a fact that scouts from RCB, CSK and MI have been at the Chinnaswamy Stadium watching all these games, and I'm saying this for a fact. ऐसा नहीं किसी और को quote कर रहा हूँ, खुद ही का fact है, पता हुआ है. So that's that. And even with the BPL, there are scouts from several IPL franchisees present in the stadium, because it is important. Bhai, TV पे जो भी देख लो, getting a feel, understanding how a player is can happen only when you see them in person, when you see them play in person, because body language matters, how they're handling themselves in the field matters. For a batter, it's not about just batting. It's also about how they're conducting themselves while fielding. Are they aggressive enough? Are they alert? Are they listening to their captain? Are they aware of where the ball is coming, how the angles are? So all of that can be sort of gauged only when they are in person. So yeah, scouts are in the stadium watching all these games. You don't have to worry.
Abbas has few transfer related questions, or rather these player related questions. CA Karthik, will he get an IPL contract? And he asks, why is Kaushal Vashwani not picked this year?
It's Kushal Vadwani, and why wasn't he picked this year? Bhai, matlab auction tha. I'm guessing they found other leggies. Deepak Devadiga did fairly decently last season, so he was one of the sort of hot picks that way in terms of spinners. We've seen Paras Arya also do well. So it's a very competitive field that way. Spinners, Indian spinners, that too domestic spinners. So yeah, you could probably just put it down to that. A lot of other names coming up. CA Karthik yaar, matlab IPL ke liye thoda unko aur khelna padega. I don't think he's there yet. He plays for Mysore Warriors. He also plays for Sikkim in Ranji and Smart. But nahi yaar, IPL ke liye abhi unko aur time lagega.
Yeah, and just sorry before you go ahead. You have all these scouts at all these venues. Still, RCB pulled off the bowling attack the other day last year. Thank you. Just wanted to get.
And still, we made it to the semis.
Okay,
Look, Nikhil loves using the phrase Jai Mata Di, and there is a question in regards to that, because Santosh Urapa jokingly says, anything something to call out ahead of the CPL next? Which team looks strongest, or is it the Jai Mata Di tournament?
Not as much, but yet to get complete terms in terms of who's going where, because honestly, so much cricket is happening that you don't get enough time. And earlier you could be there, like, chalo 2 hafte pehle, let's do the homework. Now that is not the case. It is best to do it a couple of days prior to the tournament, because only then you know who is available, who's not available, who will join when, and all of that. So maybe the next MNL might just be a few games in, but better to be there than to sound stupid without that homework.
Okay, fair enough. Abbas saying Kaun utega by 4:30. I mean, honestly, that's why it's the most viewed highlights league.
That is the only reason why I haven't gone completely into it. I'm not sure if the time, because this few weeks I'm doing a lot of daily duties, which is good. Should always do that. But taking up studies also, I don't know if I can wake up at 4:30, then drop out to school at 7, and then be back and then do more cricket. So let's figure how it all works out.
Okay, finally, Max Mojo will have the last question in the 12th man segment before we all F off, respectively. Question, me and my friends were discussing this earlier, boys. Should there be a concept of substitute in cricket, especially in test match cricket? I don't like the sound of it. I think we're all old school that way. We wanted to be 11v11. Sure, the concussion sub right now, we got to understand it. That is a no-brainer. Generally, when even the super sub rule was introduced in 2004, 2005, I wasn't really with it. There's been some interesting rules with regards to the Indian domestic tournaments coming up, which we'll preview in the next MNL. But right now, this is my 2 pence. The fact that I don't think there should be a substitute in cricket. Really quickly then, Akshay, in the interest of time, yes or no?
Yeah, completely agree. हम तो T20 cricket से उसको निकालने के लिए बोल रहे, Test cricket में कहाँ ला रहे हो? Just have concussion subs because that is important.
Yeah.
You do not want to penalize a team for uncontrollable factors, but that's pretty much it. Just I'm all for 11v11 contest.
Nikhil, I'm guessing you echo those thoughts.
100% bro, double down. मतलब 500% क्योंकि it's not needed. Do not give teams more reasons to pick the wrong things and conditions. So yes, just to add on the concussion sub, I would also want them to add an injury sub because say if you lose a guy, don't do a Zaid Khan. No? I mean, if you lose your premier pacer, it still stings. So external injury, and again, there is that grey area, which is why they haven't got it done yet. But that's the only substitute that I would ever want in Test cricket. Otherwise, as good as it is, must be.
Yeah, just one last update, guys. Matlab, literally in the middle of the podcast, fixtures for the Women's T20 World Cup have been announced. The revised fixtures, that is. So, of course, the dates remain the same. It starts on the 3rd of October. Bangladesh taking on Scotland in the tournament opener, and it ends on the 20th of October. But earlier, the groups were supposed to be playing in different cities. So, Group A was supposed to be playing in Dhaka, and Group B was supposed to be playing in Mirpur in the initial fixtures that was announced. This time around, they've changed it. Both groups will be playing in Dubai and Sharjah. India will play Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and New Zealand in Dubai, but India play Australia in Sharjah. Importantly, India play Pakistan in the noon game that starts at 2 p.m. UAE Standard Time. That won't be easy, but it'll be very interesting. So that's the fixtures, that's the update. So that's another thing to look out for. So yeah.
Yeah, man, Dubai, whether it's not in the summer, there is a super summer and then the summer. The summer is in the October bit, which God bless those Indian girls out there who'll have to don the jersey and play in that humidity. But look, we'll preview that whichever MNL precedes it. Thank you so much, guys. Brilliant. Love the interaction and the engagement of the show. We've built such a strong community, and that's what we love. I think Urbaz Kunde corrected out Behram Ghazi in terms of the Duke ball or whatever. And that's the knowledge that we have in this chat. So props to all of you who turn up on a Monday, 8 p.m. and got at the party as well, saying my favorite weekly cricket show. Thank you so much. He goes on to say, super show, boys. Anap, Shanap,
Yeah, boy, it works. Main bola.
Brilliant. There was another comment which we did see. Yes, it was crazy. The fact that he whacked the helmet in the Max 60 Carlos Brathwaite. But again, appreciate all you guys in terms of the comments. Nikhil, Popa, thank you so much for your time, as well as Akshay Kumaraswamy. Brilliant stuff from both of you all in yet another episode 42 of MNL. If you guys are listening in Spotify, just of course like this, and on YouTube, please bless, subscribe, and of course like the video. I need to get dinner. I'm fumbling about. Cheers. We'll see you soon.